Peggy 12.
If there is no struggle,
I would say you grab your kicks.
make a revolution.
I am on camera. Hello, everyone. Now I'm here. I was there. Now I'm here. So, yes, welcome to this Victoria. Am I close enough to the mic, by the way? I'm still not used to this new setup of the studio. So, welcome to this Voice of the People segment of the Space Show. This is the first time we're gonna show Voice of the People to you guys. Ooh,
Yep.
At least playing it live, and we are a little bit uncertain. It was we hope that we have the right build up. if something is borked, we can always blame that. Oh no, this works much better in the other build. But anyway. So I'm Björn, I'm community manager for Victoria 3, and with me I have Mikael Andersson, the game director of Vicky 3, and
One of two.
one of two. Yeah, Wiz, of course, also. I don't know if you're watching this. Wiz, if you do, hello. We're gonna fill your shoes here. It's big shoes to fill with amazing streamer. But yeah, so what we're gonna show you is Voice of the People, which is the upcoming Immersion Pack for Wiki 3. It's releasing in about a month. It's 22nd. No.
22nd, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I should have, just now I got uncertain. So 22nd of May, we will release this. And it is the first immersion pack for Wiki 3. And the immersion pack obviously is promised one. If you own the Grand Edition, you're gonna get this. It's included in the Grand Edition.
That's right.
So now you got the music pack promised in the Grand Edition. They're gonna get the immersion pack, and then we have gonna be an art pack and a expansion as well. So we might want to.
And I think we can actually say this now that we have gotten it confirmed that we're going to get an expansion pass bundle for those of you who have purchased the base game only.
I am not sure we were supposed to say that, but now we did.
Can. So that's what I've been told. So I'm going to give it to you first. So if you're worried about pre-ordering this because maybe it's better to buy it than an expansion later or whatever, it's going to be a bundle. So it'll be removed from the price of the bundle anyway. It's going to be fine. And that should be available once this launches. But yeah.
Yeah.
And it will contain the pre-order bonus and all that stuff too.
Cool. Awesome stuff. Yeah, Mikael, why don't you tell us a little bit about Voice of the People?
Yeah.
What is it? What is the purpose of this immersion pack? What do we want to? What kind of immersion is it we want to achieve?
Yeah, right. So it's immersion is a broad word, right? And what we're looking for here, thank you, Alex. What we're looking for here is immersion on France, right? But not just that, but also immersion on agitation, political agitation, and revolutions. And that's part of the latter part of that is part of the free 1.3 update that's coming alongside of it, but with a bunch of enhancements in the Voice of the People pack as well. And the way that I like to think of immersion packs, by the way, is it's like one half narrative content like events and journal entries and cool historical characters and stuff like that. one half art and one half new mechanics.
That's a lot of
So
halves.
That's a lot of halves, but that's basically what we're dealing with here. So don't think of it as like just like a bunch of events or whatever. It's also a whole bunch new art, like what you're seeing here. We're going to go through it a little bit more once we get into it, and the new mechanics as well, which have also a few. Most of them are free, right? But some upgrades to those mechanics with the expansion. So we should jump into it, right?
Yeah. What are we gonna pick? Are you gonna play?
I'm actually just gonna run the sandbox.
Do sandboxy.
Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of stuff to see anyway. So now we didn't get one of the cool new loading screens, but we will get that another time. So the first thing we see here is a new paper map. Right, so this is a French-themed map that also has a bunch of illustrations here. We were a bit worried about doing this for the base game map, but we tried it out for this, and it worked out so well. I don't think we're ever going back on this. Basically, doing illustrations on the map here. So you can see the mountain ranges and rivers and stuff on this map as well as, and then you zoom in and you actually see the 3D. I love it.
I do believe it's called Art Nouveau, right?
Yeah, something like that. Right?
Art
something like
Nouveau.
that. That's right. That's right. So yeah, but let's not dawdle here. So we're gonna go with France, and we're gonna start play. And before I'm pausing, I'll go through a few things to show off a few of the things that we've done. So one thing is the brand new French building set. So in France, regardless of what country you play, right? Obviously, you can have this pack and play as Prussia, and you will still see these cool French buildings if you pan over on France, right?
But not in Persia.
Not in
They're not
Persia.
going to have the French buildings in Persia.
They will
That
not.
was kind of what I was thinking. I was like, ooh.
No, they will not. No, they will not. But yeah, so it'll have a sort of decidedly more kind of organic look to them than the default Western style, and yeah, should hopefully make you want to zoom in a little bit more and take a look at your pretty little cities after you build them. But another thing that we see here straight away is some new journal entries, which are unique to France. The divided monarchist journal entry. Cement the house of X. This is kind of dynamic. We'll see how it looks in a minute. And the conquest of Algeria. And these are the ones you get at start. And then there's a few more that might show up as you play, right, as France. So I'm going to do the thing that everyone hates. And instead of running the game at speed 5 and pausing every time there's something cool, I'm going to run it on speed 3 and not even look at the screen. Right now, I'm going to look at you for a moment, Björn, just because I know that it makes people so anxious when they watch the stream. Like, why is he not? It's like not watching the road when you're driving. But I want to do that because we don't have a ton of time, and I want to make sure that things actually happen here while we're playing. So the first thing that happens: pretenders to the throne. We have some dynastic squabbles between the Orleanist, the Legitimist, and the Bonapartist lines. These are represented as ideologies as well. So you see that the current King of France has the Orleanist ideology, which believes certain things about governance principles and distribution of power, economic system, and trade policy, right? Whereas, for example, the Bonapartist line cares about army model and economic system, as well as the other two. The Legitimists are interested in church and state and free speech. So three very kind of different ways of governing your nation. And the question here is, which king do you want on the throne?
Ooh,
right?
ooh.
Or do you not want a king on the throne at all? Maybe you
Shall we ask the
someone.
chat?
Oh, that's dangerous. But
That
we
is
can
dangerous.
try.
What do you say, chat? You have like 10 seconds to pick. Cador say Napoleon?
Of course they do.
Of course they do, yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty
There we
sure
go.
that Napoleon.
Bonapartist it is. So, support the Bonapartist pretenders. What will happen now is that the divided monarchist journal entry registers this. We're supporting the House of Bonaparte. I can switch here, but if I switch, I'm gonna lose the progress I've made. So if I change my mind a few years in, I can switch it out, right? But what we're gonna try to do here is throw this Orleanist king off the throne, install a Bonapartist pretender, and see what happens. And the only way to gain progress in this will take 60 weeks to complete. And the way to gain progress is if you have someone in government, any interest group leader, who support the Bonapartist ideology. And just because sometimes this can be kind of random, right? So in this particular case, we start with a landowner who's Orleanist, they support the king, and a moderate in the armed forces, a legitimist in the Catholic Church, and a reformer industrialist, right? And so right now, this isn't really happening for us. We can't include anyone else here. We have one Bonapartist here. He's a leader of the petit bourgeoisie, but they're marginalized, so we can't put them in government yet. So we have kind of two options to go here if we want to pursue this journal entry, is either enhance the power of the petit bourgeoisie such that they are no longer marginalized, and then reform the government and hopefully not lose our extremely good legitimacy score. That's one way. Another way to do it is, if you read the tooltip there very carefully, you would find that we have a new character interaction, which is a new system that we've added in 1.3 as well, that we have access to because we are supporting the House of Bonaparte. And what this is we can sway one of these interest group leaders as long as they, actually I don't, so for example, I'm not going to be able to sway this guy because he is an Orleanist, right? So
you can only sway the people who are not on one side already.
So
Not like they have something else.
Exactly. This guy's a moderate, so we can bribe him, right, to support our cause. But doing this means that all the opposition interest groups are going to get -2 approval for 4 years, because we've shown that we are we're basically corrupting these people, right, to support our cause.
It's not corruption.
No, that's not what I meant.
It's not corruption when you do it for a good cause.
That's right.
Which is Bonapartist.
Here I can't do it because because they're radical. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do this to him as soon as we can, so that we can start getting progress in this bar, and hopefully we can keep these armed forces now in government, because now we're not going to be able to do this again for a while. There's a cooldown on this, so now I can't do this again for another 5 years. The competing thing that's happening here is cement the House of Orleans. So for as long as the Orleans dynasty maintains rule, this meter ticks up. If they're on the throne for 10 years, then the House of Orleans is it. We will get some event, the Eternal House of Orleans, and that's the new line now, and the sort of monarchic dispute is over. We have so many events. Racing concerns, we've all seen this. We're gonna go with this. Sorry, I'm gonna click through these two because they're part of the basic game. They're not as interesting, but I'm gonna show you this one. And now I am actually gonna pause, so this one doesn't time out. We have some marauders flying the flag of Mascara that has raided our settlement in Oran. One thing that, if you study in the map carefully here, you will find, no longer does France have a long blue strip down here called Algiers. Instead, we have three unincorporated states, basically former colonies, right?
I just have a very important question.
Yeah.
Do they have very lush eyelashes in Mascara?
I'm not equipped to answer these kind of questions.
Can the chat?
I also don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Maybe it should be pronounced mascara. and not mascara. Please educate me, chat. But what's happening here is that we have a few new nations, Constantine, Aitabas, and then Mascara, that encompasses Iran and Algiers. These three new nations are we actually have to interact with them because they're actually going to be very important to us. And I will show you why. What's happening here is that we have these Mascaran marauders that are raiding Oran. And that is a problem. That is going to cause some issues for us. In either case here, we get devastating raids for 2 years. That reduces our migration, increases our mortality, and hurts our agricultural industry. And relations are gonna decrease, right? The difference between these two events, I can say, okay, that happened, or I can blame it all on this general. Same thing's gonna happen, but I get an opportunity to get rid of this general. I don't know, he seems fine. He's a traditionalist. I'm okay with a traditionalist. I'm pursuing Bonapartism. It's gonna be fine. We will go with this. But these raids are going to continue for as long as we have this conquest of Algeria happening, right? So I can either give up on these states, right, or I can try to get Oran, Algiers, and Constantine to be owned by France or its subjects. Meaning, if I can make these my puppets, right? If I can subjugate is the word. If I can subjugate these guys, then these issues will cease, or if I take them over.
Can we send the Foreign Legion to persuade people?
I wish we had a Foreign Legion mechanic, but sadly, privatized military is not something that we support yet. Eventually we'll get there. We'll figure out some way for barracks to make money, and then we can do French Foreign Legion. But yeah, so we're gonna have to do something about these guys eventually, because these colonies are only gonna keep hurting until we do. Here we're ticking along. I'm ignoring everything else, and again, you guys are probably super anxious. He's like, why is he not building anything? It's fine. My capitalists are building stuff. But let's...
Yay, capitalists.
We'll improve our construction sector at least to give them something to do. So, another few things. I'm not enacting any laws yet. You know what? I'm gonna play a little bit better at least, and I'm gonna at least erect some tooling industries. Here, I don't actually know if this, I don't remember now if this was part of 1.2 or 1.3, this interface. We've enhanced a few of these interfaces as well for 1.3 to make them more...
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Have better usability. This, I think, might be new. Showing the state traits in the production lens. You can see where the rivers and the good traits are, right? The good soils and stuff like that. But yeah, so while that's doing its thing, let's hop into the laws and the politics panel. So this is completely reworked. The politics panel overview tab here. As you can see, it's using space a little bit more properly than we used to. But in particular, I think these are so useful. This shows you a breakdown of the loyalists and the radicals that you have, split up by interest group. So we can see here that the rural folk love me for whatever reason. Probably their standard of living is just going up, and the labor with the trade unions are not liking me quite as much. But by and large, the trend is looking positive here. We have a lot more loyalists than radicals. mostly due to the fact that we're running a very, very high legitimacy government so far. Apparently, the people like this king. Too bad for them.
Rob. And yeah, I got a question. Is why only France for this immersion pack and not more Euro nations like Russia and Germany? Well, that's the thing, right? That immersion packs are usually, if you play EU4, where we've been doing immersion packs for a while, like we focus on, it's usually quite focus mini expansions or whatever to call, like with a lot of focus on, the increasing immersion for playing a specific part of the game. So for this one is France, and I would imagine that there should be a Russian and Germany immersion pack eventually, or if we do a more expensive expansion about.
Or exactly, or some other way of adding more. We wanted to go deeper into one country rather than broader onto a bunch of them, right? And in terms of immersion here, yes, you're immersing into France, but also if you're playing a different country, you're still getting the advantages of the French-inspired like agitation mechanics and stuff like that. So there's still substantial gameplay improvement if you're playing as another country, of course. But I do recommend playing France.
Mechanics obviously are global, but then we also introduced a lot of France-specific content to make it more deep and immersive to play France.
Here's a new little graphical detail as well. This shows a revolutionary movement brewing. And this is happening, thankfully not in France right now. It's happening in our neighbors, Sardinia, Piedmont. And this particular state is clearly undergoing some sort of landowner revolt here for whatever reason. We can have a quick peek just because it's fun. To see what they're doing. They're reforming something here. They're reforming, what are they reforming? They're going to, oh yes, right. If you follow the dev diaries, you'll see this, but if you haven't, we have a new law group here. So they're going to homesteading instead of tenant farmer for their land reform group. So they were on tenant farmers, which gives the landowners a lot of political strength. And they are looking to reform to homesteading, which instead passes this over to the rural folk and, of course, unlocks production methods and stuff that actually gives the rural folk or the farmers the dividends from the buildings that they're working. The landowners don't like this, it seems. Here we can see where we're ticking up a little bit faster on this than this one. This one will take much longer to complete. So that's what we want to do basically, is race this one before this one is up. But we have a political movement as well. Here's something new also for 1.3 is we have a new political movement panel. So we can actually see more clearly who is it that's supporting this and what can I do to try to deal with this movement, right? And in this case, they want census suffrage instead of what we have currently, which is wealth voting.
Yeah, I just want to point out also I see there's some confusion in the chat. So yeah, if you have questions, just post them in the chat. I will try to. My biggest problem here is that I see it in between two screens. So I have the chat here and I have the game here. So I'll try to look on the chat as much as I can and pick up your questions, but I might not notice them immediately. But yeah, if you have questions, just ask away in the chat and we will try to answer them.
Yep. So yeah, here we can see what pops are supporting this movement, either because they are supporting an interest group that are backing it, or because they just align with this principle. So you can have a political movement without any interest group support, for example, just a bunch of angry peasants whose life is really bad and they want you to change something, right? That's fine. And we can see exactly who they are here. This census suffrage is actually getting most of its support from the peasants. And most of those people are politically unaligned, right? But the rural folk do also support this. This is, it's fine right now. They have sort of moderate support. Their radicalism is low, but growing. So it could get bad eventually. but yeah, they don't have enough teeth as of yet.
Also, I have some questions here about, like, for example, here we have a question: is the single party system available now or only late game?
Oh, that's a good question. So let's take a look. So that's another thing that we added, right? Is the single party state, and single party state is locked behind political agitation. So you do need this tech, and it's an era 4 tech. So unless you're rushing this, it's probably towards the mid to late game that you're getting the ability to have this, right?
Yeah, I want to point out that actually we are aware it's a discussion we've been having where it's a problem that a lot of the stuff added in this immersion pack is actually not available until you played for a while. So was a decision to be made, like, do we want to make it more fancy that you like get new stuff immediately, or do we actually want to make stuff that makes sense? So we picked the later. So hopefully you guys will have understanding that you might buy this immersion pack and you might not see all the stuff immediately, but if you just continue playing, you will eventually, all of it is going to make sense.
Yeah,
I hope.
No, absolutely. It's more of like a story of France, or adding on to the game. So yeah, you're not going to get all the cool new toys in the very beginning. Similarly, we haven't talked about this yet, the agitator mechanic. The agitator mechanic, unless you're great power, you have pretty limited ability to interact with this when you start the game. But techs will unlock more and more ability to deal with these, or indeed, not just ability, but sort of opportunity for them to arrive in your country independently as well. So agitators are a new class of characters that will start or join political movements and sort of lead the people in. So this is where the voice of the people name come from. Lead the people in support of a certain ideology, not just a single law, right? So in this particular case, Bartolomeo Farah, if I invited him to my country, or indeed if he arrived in my country, he would start a movement to enact colonial exploitation, because that's what his jingoist ideology would prefer, right? But he wouldn't necessarily stop there. If he got his way, then he would then try to pass mass conscription. So whatever ideology they have, they're going to try to see that through to its fullest form. Someone just got exiled. This is a radical part of the intelligentsia.
Sorry if I interrupt you,
No,
Mikael. I
please.
just want to, Nurgle, because I don't want to interrupt Mikael too much, and we get quite a lot of questions. Do you think you could, like, copy the questions that are popping out of screen? Do you think you could, like, copy paste them into a text document or something here? And I will try to get to them when there is a moment, or if we do it at the end of the stream or something. Is that possible? I don't want to burden you too much. Sorry, Nurgle. But like, yeah, I really want to answer people's questions, but yeah, it's like when Mikael is talking about this stuff, and then this comes some completely unrelated question. I don't want to interrupt you and just derail. So if we could, like, save the questions for a bit somehow, maybe we should have like an add-on where you can, like, right-click a question, like save it to something, so you can go back to, like, have a collection of questions. That would be awesome, Nurgle. Sorry again.
All right.
Sorry to the
No,
chat.
but cool.
I will try to get to your question, but yeah, I don't want to interrupt Mikael with the unrelated questions that are not related.
Please interrupt me with questions.
Yeah, but I don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to follow
Yeah.
if we, like, start talking about other stuff in the middle of it.
I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm rambling, but no. So yeah, this guy suddenly showed up here in the exile pool specifically because he got exiled from another country. Someone didn't like him. Probably someone in Italy, it looks like.
Here was a question I saw a few times that's actually not that's actually kind of related. What's with the different backgrounds of the characters?
Mm-hmm. So we'll see this if we tooltip over them. The difference here is this part. This is a historical character. So in the cases where we have directly, like, lifted a person out of history, they have this green background. Just to highlight to you that this is This is someone that actually is not like randomly generated. They're not usually that different. Often you will recognize them without this, but we thought that this would be just sort of a nice touch to give you some information if you wanted to read more about them or whatever.
We should have a Wikipedia link in there so you have to click it and get it.
You know, it's exciting that you would say that. We do have that for some characters. I don't even know if you knew that, Björn.
I actually didn't.
No, that's actually something that we added. We don't have it for all characters because they have to be characters that have a specific correct appearance. For the modders out there, they have to have a character template and not just be generated on the fly with a certain name in order for us to add that link. But some characters do have that, and then you'll be able to just right-click on them, and it'll give you a link here, like click here, and it will open a browser. But yeah, so because I have a couple of these like two possibilities here of having agitators at the moment, and that's coming from me being a great power, then I can either invite them myself if I want to, you know, well, I actually really like the jingoist. Actually, maybe I do. Maybe I want the jingoist there. I'm going to invite him. So now he is going to ask to enact colonial exploitation. I'm fine with that. That should be fine.
Okay, I have a couple of questions that feels related to this. What does agitator interest groups do? Aren't they opposite of interest groups, just voice of masses?
Right. So this is their allegiance, right? So every political character is aligned with someone. This doesn't necessarily mean that the interest group leader and the agitator agrees, but it's more of, you know, who are they aligned with? If there was a revolution, which side would they go to, right? Things like that. But an agitator can support a movement, for example, without their interest group necessarily supporting that movement officially yet, and things like that. But yeah, that's basically what it is. So I think this expansion sort of, or immersion pack sort of further establishes interest groups as the sort of the nice political establishment, right? Whereas the agitators and the interest group free political movements are more like, you know, the radical elements that don't necessarily have so much formal political strength.
Can the agitators become leaders of the interest groups?
They can, in fact, become leaders of interest groups. If the intelligentsia was part of the government, I would actually be able to say, this guy is actually better suited than you to be in charge, and then I would be able to move him in there, bump the other guy out. Similarly, I can grant command. I can make one of these a general. I can just put a pin on them and say, here, have some men and some political clout, right? I can also exile people, which is, of course, the flip side of this. This is how people show up in this pool to begin with. And there are also conditions for that, of course, and there's a cooldown. You can't just keep doing this to everyone all the time. You can also exile your interest group leaders. So, and that makes them agitators. And finally, one thing that you can also do in some cases is if you have a rivalry with the country that they came from, in this case Tuscany, you can repatriate them. You can say, oh yeah, you can chill with me for a while, and then I'm going to send you back. And of course, when they get sent back, then they start this political movement that they would have started in your country, right? So this can be a useful way of sort of loading up some agitator bullets in your gun and then fire them off at your rivals at a later date. But as long as I keep an open slot here, there's a possibility for sort of agitators to just arrive to my country as well. They might not even be exiles, just sort of people that are rising up. So this is a bit of a danger for me, but I don't want to complicate life for myself too much right now.
So how many agitator slots can you like? What controls the number of agitators you can invite, etc.?
So at the moment I have 2, right? And that's because I'm a great power. If I was a major power or insignificant, I believe, then I would have 1. But this number will increase with society techs. So as your politics get more and more complicated later in the game, all countries start getting more and more of these popping up, right? The number of exiles that are available can also get a little large, right? Because these are people from all over the world. So there are a few limitations. First, there's a few filters. So you can say, I only want people from the devout, right? Or from the royal folk. You can also tick this box to say, if it'll only show me the ones that I can actually invite right now. They have to be culturally and religiously compatible with you, depending on your laws. You can't just like invite some. You can't invite like some Chinese dissident as friends if you don't accept Chinese people in your country, right? That would be weird. As you see, closed borders. If you have closed borders, you also cannot invite them. But yeah, so you can peek through this. It can be useful to sort of fill up your slots with people that agree with your politics, but they will kick around. So hopefully you're not going to change your mind later on because they will be there.
This is a question also. If a revolution succeeds, can an exiled character come back to the home country if their interests align?
Unless there's some event that causes that to happen, I don't think so right now. But here's a sort of similar thing that we can see here. Here's Victor Hugo. That is actually this is an event again specific to France. So Victor Hugo is becoming an agitator, and you can choose how to deal with this, right? And he's coming back because we have an Orleanist on the throne. So we have some different things to do here. We can send him away to Devil's Island, and that would be bad for me, quite bad. We can send him away into exile, and that's a lesser issue. Or he will disappear, and it won't be that bad. But he is Republican, so he's going to try to get rid of the king. It's fine. I'll deal with that. That's fine.
Yeah, I also noticed, I actually haven't seen that, like in the event, there was a little tag saying Voice of the People.
Yeah, it's just, we're just tagging the events so that you know which ones are part of it, right? So if you see that tag, that's because it's part of this pack, right? Has this stalled for me now? I think this might have stalled for me.
Oh no!
But why?
Stupid politicians.
No, they're still there. All right, I'm gonna have to.
While you fiddle with that, let me. We see here got some questions up on the screen. That's Nurgle and Pelle has been doing a wonderful job collecting.
Yeah.
So this was good. Will this have a beta opt-in to test further?
There will not be a beta for this. We only have like another. Basically, there's too short of a timeline to actually respond to anything that we would find in the beta. Of course, we have our closed beta testers who have done a great job with feedbacking on this, but we did not have the time. We are hoping to have another open beta this year, though, but I can't say exactly when.
Yeah. No, obviously we do have betas, but yeah, what I assume is you talk about public beta, which is a kind of big thing and requires a lot of time and effort to maintain and make actually worth it. So we won't be able this time, sadly. So here we have like this question was repeated several times. Will other parts of the world, like neighboring provinces, be affected by the French buildings, like Sardinia, Savoy, or Quebec?
By the buildings?
I think I saw another, like if it was culture, like if another region will if another region get the French culture, will that actually get the French buildings?
No, sadly no. There's a technical limitation here. I've actually discussed this a few times online because it's come up a lot. These cultures are geographically based, right? So the visuals are based on what state or strategic region you're in, not actually on the culture of the pops that are there, just because it's technical, but the visuals and the game state logic are separated in a way that makes that impossible right now. It's something that I would love to do, but it would also mean that we would have to store the exact position and building type and culture type of every single building in the save game. So technical.
Or you people talking about performance.
yeah. It's unfortunate. I would love to see that, but as it is, it's geographically based.
Yeah. Also, for the French monarchists, if you have multiple characters of your supported dynasty in government, does the bar fill up faster?
No. It's a binary state. Do you have this or do you not? And then it will tick. That's an interesting idea, but it's not something that we did, no.
So how did you guys decide which real-life historical figures were important enough to be agitators?
I will have to defer to Daniel Tolman, our lead designer on this, who...
Neon DT on the forum.
Yep. Him and his team decided on the characters, but as far as I can tell, they basically took their encyclopedic knowledge of the history of and enumerated every single character in the world and then decided who made the cut or not. That's what I think happened. But it's a pretty impressive priority list in the end. And so we have about 60, a little bit over 60 characters that we included. That should all look very similar to their historical counterparts and have the right traits and stuff like that as well.
Here we have a bloodthirsty fellow in the chat. Can we kill or have or like basically can you kill agitators through events or decisions?
There are some events that will cause characters to die, but there's no character interaction for assassination. That's something we've talked a bit about. However, you should know, especially if you're into modding, that the character interaction system is super duper moddable, and it will be absolutely trivial to add a thing to just say, oh, Victor de Broglie, I would like to target you for assassination, and have some sort of assassination event having a chance of firing or something like that.
Not the old CK2 assassinate button. If you have enough gold, they die immediately.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly that. No, but I mean, you could even do, if you meet these conditions, press a button and he dies, right? But we don't want to go. I mean, the character interaction system is powerful, but we definitely don't want, like, Victoria is not ultimately a game about characters in the same way that CK is. So we've controlled ourselves and not added all of the cool things that we could possibly add that would make this more of a character drama than a society simulator, right? So it's things that are more important sort of geopolitically. One thing that we have also, but I don't exactly know it right now, it probably doesn't pertain. Oh, it doesn't pertain to France. If you have a monarch without an heir, you can have a royal marriage as well. That will put you closer with another country. That's another character interaction that we added for this. But again, not exactly we want to get rid of this guy, or quite in that level of detail.
And I will let you answer this question. The agitators are fully moddable, right? So people can add their own agitators.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Was also someone interested, like the two top questions there we kind of answered for Nurgle. So does agitators show up in the loss list so we can see that there are more support available?
No, they don't. So that's interesting. It's something that I've occasionally felt myself, hey, it would be cool if I could see here, if I want to pass freedom of conscience, is there a guy available in the that's been exiled that I could invite in order to get more support? We don't have that yet. Maybe it's something that we will find is useful enough that we will add as a sort of quality of life feature later on. But it also, I don't know, it also feels a little bit like, because there's side effects to that, right? Once you pass that law, he's going to want something else, right? So it might be better for you to sort of take the agitator first approach and go, is there someone here whose ideology I agree with more in total, if that makes sense. But yeah, you can be opportunistic and go in and see, is there anyone that would start something here that I would support? Or that I would like, because it's going to make it a lot easier to do. Actually, in the few minutes that we have left, because we're going, when do we go until?
I think that we should go on to at least quarter past, but I believe that we...
Yeah, you have 15 minutes left to go.
Yeah, okay. So while we do that then, because I'm not sure that everyone's seen this, we've made some changes to the way that we enact laws as well. So I wanna actually show this off. So I'm gonna take the opportunity here to give in to this movement and try to pass census suffrage. We see here that we have 45% success rate, and that is exclusively from the support of this movement. Nobody in government agrees with this law whatsoever. And as a result, some of them will actively work against it. The industrialists and landowners don't like this at all. But we still have a higher success chance than a stall chance. So we're going to go through this one anyway and see what happens. And you'll see now that what we've done here is it's no longer like a single percentage chance, like 46% chance of passing this. Instead, the clock ticks a little bit faster, but you have to go through 3 stages of getting successes here. And we found in testing that this just felt so much better. You get a clear kind of sense of progress, and it works around a number of exploits and just sort of bad feels when you have 95% chance of passing something and you get that 1 in 20 chance of not doing it, and then you're back down to 50 or whatever. So in this case, we're in the referral phase right now. These are differently named, but they work the same depending on your government type. So the bill is currently in referral, then it's going to go to drafting, then voting, and then it'll pass, right? So we need 3 successful rolls. And we can also get potentially up to 3 setbacks. And if we get 3 setbacks, then this will fail. And there will be a timeout or a cooldown of 2 years before you get a chance to do it again. And this can happen, for example, if the law fails or stalls, or if you pick some event options as well. Sometimes you get the opportunity of trading a temporary setback for some sort of benefit. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, these guys are placated, and hopefully that means that, our radical growth is slowing down a little bit. But also our loyalists.
I thought that curve looked pretty. The line is going up, Mikael.
Yeah, it's is it the green line or the red line that's going up? It matters. It's because we're at 72 here. You know what we did? We totally forgot to reform the government when we had the chance to. But there's nothing actually better based on the election result. We had an election, and the Resistance Party, that doesn't sound good, and the Republican Union got the vast majority of the votes here. Yeah, this is, we can see the distribution here actually. The Resistance Party is these guys, and the Republican Union are these fellas right here. So we can see that the intelligentsia...
So wait, the Resistance Party is actually in power.
The Resistance Party is actually in power, yes.
What are they resisting?
They're resisting something. They're resisting these guys. But no, right, okay, so we have the Republican Union here and the Republican Party here. They have the same icon. I'm not sure why. But these are actually two... Oh, no, okay. That's a bug. I just found a bug.
Can an interest group start a revolution because they want a law that is in cooldown? So like they want to start a revolution, but you cannot really do anything about that law because it's in cooldown because you failed or something.
Yes.
Ooh,
yes.
Scary times.
It is possible. It is because of the time that it usually takes for a political movement to actually escalate to the point of revolution. It's usually something that's manageable. But there is a possibility for, especially with the new petition system that we have, that we also haven't quite talked about yet. That is where a new government can demand that something gets enacted. If that law is just based on whatever they want, and they feel like we're in power now, we should be able to do this. This is definitely a situation where if you try to do their bidding and you're not finagling things correctly, you're not managing your politics right, then yeah, that could fail and there could be a cool down and they could drop out of government and say, what's the point of being in government if I can't get my way? And you might have a movement or even a revolution on your hands, yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. So yeah, we're complicating politics quite a bit with the 1.3 update, but I hope you feel, I definitely feel like it's there's a lot more tools to manage it with and interfaces even to sort of analyze it with. So it's more involved for sure, but there's more buttons to push and levers to pull. We are still looking. Oh yeah, we have an advance event. So Victor Hugo again. A popular French newsletter has released a statement by him endorsing several poets known for their sympathies to the rural folk's interests, because of course the rural folk want this census suffrage. The idols of the French culture stand behind a reform, which gives us a nice enactment success chance, 7%. Or we get a bonus to the rural folk, higher approval and higher attraction to the rural folk, and a slightly smaller enactment success chance. Let's go with that. That's fine. So we didn't get to advance this time to drafting, but we got a nice little bonus anyway. It's going to be easier next time, and of course it's going to be easier for all 3 steps now, right? Because this 5% will stick. And the rural folk will be a little bit more powerful, but I think I can make that work. They're not super dangerous to me right now. Yes, but yeah, those petitions that I mentioned, they usually come into effect after, shortly after you reform your government. So the new government comes in and they have something that they want to do. And because I didn't reform the government, I didn't get the opportunity to get that. And now it's too late. Now I'm going to get a bunch of radicals if I want to try to reform it, and I have no options that are more legitimate anyway. So, sitting government it is. The gamble. Here we have, yes, openly preaching about the benefits that a mysterious and secret political gamble can bring to our government. Yeah, details. How bad can it be? He has he's a historical character. He's very old, and he has a neutral popularity right now. We are just going to say no to that, and he will be unpopular instead.
That's a way of getting old, you know.
Yeah.
I used to be with it. Now they changed what's
That's right.
what's it's with.
It
will happen to you.
Yeah. Here we progress to drafting. This is good. But yeah, this guy has negative popularity now, and he's quite old, so he's probably going to get bumped pretty soon, which is good. We don't want reform.
Yep. And I just want to give you a little heads up that we have 5 minutes to go. So time to get through the things you would like to get. But yeah, I want to say we're going to be back next week, same time, for more Voice of the People. But yeah, just letting you know that you got 5 minutes, Mikael.
Next week, maybe I'll remember to actually start researching something before 3 years is up. I completely missed this, and I have just been running my universities on empty, on fumes for 3 years. All right.
Yeah, let them have their time. You know, like university is a time for fun, not necessarily
don't
work.
have to actually make any progress. That's fine. So I don't know if I had more time right now, I would probably have a look at what's going on in Algeria and try to deal with this situation. I absolutely completely failed to improve relations with these guys, especially Mascara here. I should have done that with. I think Constantine is ripe for conquest actually, but Mascara is a better kind of subjugation partner, I think. So
you can always placate the Mascaras by flashing your eyelashes.
I can. Yeah, you're right, Björn.
Yeah,
Yes.
they like that stuff down there.
Yeah.
No answer about coups. Okay, so what was the answer? We had a question. So, he's very upset.
Coup.
They didn't. So you're adding coup system anytime soon? Is what I was
So
asking.
there are coups in this expansion. It is not a mechanic per se. It is narrative content that can happen, and it can happen to any country. But I do not have time to go through that in detail in the few minutes that we have left. Hopefully, we'll be able. We're gonna just pick up from where we left off next week. Is that the idea?
I think so.
'Cause
I
then,
haven't quite decided. Like, I was gonna kind of roll with it, what felt right.
No,
I think we might. Maybe even we could play this save a little on the side, so we get a little bit further in, so you can show more late game
Exactly,
stuff.
and then I can get to a point where I can show off the coups a little bit better than just by talking about them now. I have played so extremely suboptimally. I'm sure
you started out as such a tryhard, and then you just no, that's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, also remember, guys, that we might not have answered all your questions here in the chat, but we always have the forum, and the devs are very active and like to answer questions. So go ahead, do that. Best luck. You usually have the best luck if you ask questions related to the dev diary in the dev diary thread in the days following a dev diary. But you can always ask in the forum, and we will try to answer there as well. But yeah, Dev Diary is coming on Thursday, which is tomorrow, where Martin... who wrote it?
No, it's
was
Daniel again.
Neon DT wrote it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a bit about what's paid and what's not.
It's on the agitator mechanic.
On the agitator
actually.
mechanic,
So he's
exactly.
going to go a bit more into detail on this.
Yeah, and also because we know there have been some questions about paid content versus free content, and that will be addressed tomorrow as well. What else? Yeah, this is, of course, this Voice of the People, the next immersion pack for Wiki 3, coming on May 22nd. So yeah, thank you for today, and I'm sorry for the questions that we missed in the chat. But yeah, forum, ask questions in the forum, and come back to see us next week, next Wednesday at 2:15 CEST, and we will be back for more Voice of the People. And I have been Björn. This is Mikael, game director. And with that, we shall leave it over to Ben and Nurgle again. Bye, people.
Well, there we